I didn't know too much about Coach Hype. Anybody that kind of knows me knows I don't watch football outside of, when we're watching film and trying to prepare for opponents. I didn't know too much about him. Learned quickly that he was a baller. At first glance, he doesn't look like a Heisman finalist or anything, but
or second glance.
Yeah, no, probably not the second or third, but he was a stud on the field, and he's a good coach, and he's what we needed, I think. And I didn't know much. I was just kind of waiting on to see how he was and how he handled himself and everything, and he's been great for us.
That is Vols senior Cooper Mays, who we were talking about in that last segment. He's saying that Josh Heupel, he didn't know a lot about him, but he was just what Tennessee needed. That is from a production by Full Disclosure Productions. Paige Dower, Jimmy Himes involved in that. Paige, tell folks where they can see video. And we showed another video that you did, an interview with Roy Kramer a few weeks ago. Where can folks find these, Paige?
Yeah, right now we're mostly housed on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com at Full Disclosure Pro, and you'll find all of Jimmy's great content that you have there. And I also just had an interview with Tennessee Baseball, their strength and conditioning coach in Q, and talking about that 2022 and 4 season. But with Jimmy, he just had a two-parter with Cooper Mays. It was great information, obviously hearing about Josh Heupel and the recruiting process, and just always able to get really good interviews. So it's been really nice partnering with Jimmy these last few months.
Well, and he's Roy Kramer, Heath Schuler, two-part interview with Sterling Hinton. Very enlightening. It was good stuff. So, folks, I encourage you to check that. I encourage you again to check that out. Full Disclosure. Do you want Pro or Productions?
The handle is at Full Disclosure Pro.
There you go.
Keep it less characters for people to type.
Certainly. Well, that leads us into our poll question for today, and then I'm going to ask them to take part in this poll question. But let's put up the question. Here it is. Averaging 9 wins a year through his first 3 seasons, how does Josh Heupel look to you? And 1, he's an elite coach. Or, and it looks like a lot of you have already gone online to vote, most of you say, well, he can become elite. 72% say that. And then there's always at least someone who says he'll never be elite. Now, here's the thing.
9%.
I get texts during this show saying, how does Tennessee feel about not being elite? What does Danny White think about them not being elite? So I'll be interested to see how many people do that now. Or is it just the person who texts me, the people who text me? It's just 1 or 2 of them, and they also have gone on there and voted. But here's what you do. Take your smartphone, use the QR code, and tell us what you feel there. The little orange lines will move, the percentages will change, and we'll tell you at the end what the final answer is from you. You can also go to sportsource.tv/polls and play right there. But please click for us. I always think this is interesting because the fans always take me in a direction I don't think they're going to take me. Now I'm going to start with you guys. Jimmy, you haven't spoken in this segment. I'll let you speak now. Is Josh Heupel elite? Can he be elite, or will he never be elite in your mind?
I think he can be elite. I'm not in the elite category yet. To me, he's had 2 excellent seasons as a head coach. His second year at Tennessee when they went 11-2. His first year at Central Florida, they had a 1-loss team. He has to accomplish more for me to put him in the elite category. And I don't think there are a whole lot of elite college football coaches.
Right.
But he's got to do more. And I'm not going to say he has to win an SEC championship to do that, because that is so darn hard.
Especially now.
I was about to say that, no divisions.
But he needs to make a run of college football playoff appearances. He needs to do that before I would put him in the elite category.
Paige.
I would agree with Jimmy that he can be elite. He's shown flashes that he has that potential. You go back to that 2022 season, and the national championship trophy is inside Neyland Stadium on the sideline, as they were ranked at one point #1 in the country, showing that they were kind of just a few pieces away. Yep. Now you have a quarterback in Nico Yamaliaba. Is he going to be like a Hendon Hooker? You have that offensive line. We talked about it last segment. You've got Cooper Mays back. I think the stat between Cooper Mays, John Campbell Jr., and Gervonta Spraggins, they have 126 games between them, 90-plus starts. I think they have the potential to be a really elite team. They're getting more 5-stars in their recruiting class. They're, routinely in the top 15 in those recruiting classes. So I think the potential and the upward trajectory is definitely there.
I love the fact that he can win without having the best team on the field. We've seen that a few times where he doesn't have to, and we talked about that when they fired Jeremy Pruitt. I put the old set, had a wipey board over here, and I put a thing up, and the first thing was find a coach who can win with X's and O's and doesn't have to go out and say, well, we're going to recruit for the next 5 years and get all 5 stars, and then I can win. All right, so the good news is you've got a guy who has a system that can win. Now the next step is getting the players who can win titles It's tough to win titles without players, but you can win without them, and he's shown that. Getting players. You just mentioned his recruiting. Looks like they're on good pace right now for this signing class. But when we come back, let's take a look at what Tennessee has done. It's a perfect, you can tell you're in television, it's a perfect tease. Let's take a look at what Tennessee's done over the last 3 years compared to the other 15 programs in the SEC. I was surprised by what I found. Is it good enough? And is it going to be better? Come on back on the Sports Source.